Breaking NFL news now as we bring in our Adam Schefter. Adam, what's going on?
Jay, the Tony Romo saga is coming to a conclusion today. The Dallas Cowboys officially are going to release Tony Romo. He's going to become a free agent, but Tony Romo has made the decision to leave football and to go into broadcasting. And so he will not be a free agent. He will not play quarterback in the NFL this year. He will be working for a network. He has spoken with CBS. He has spoken with Fox. He has spoken with NBC. I think everybody has expected that CBS has been in the lead on Tony Romo as the likely destination, but the fact of the matter remains is he's not going to be playing quarterback. And so the Houston Texans are going to have to go into the season right now with Tom Savage and with Brandon Weeden, the former Cowboys quarterback. The Denver Broncos are going to have Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch battle for the starting job. And the Dallas Cowboys obviously will be going on, turning a significant page in their franchise history, as Tony Romo will be leaving the team today, and he will be leaving the world of football, going into broadcasting.
All right, we've been waiting for this decision for any decision for quite a while. Adam, any indication of why he's choosing this route as opposed to trying to play more?
Yeah, Jay, well, listen, he turns 37 years old on April 21st. And I think that over the last few weeks, Tony Romo's had a chance to process this news and to think about what he wants to do with the rest of his life. We know that he's been able to play 5 games the last 2 years. You're talking about a guy who's gone to 4 Pro Bowls, who's had one of the most decorated careers that any player who's an undrafted free agent has ever had in NFL history. But it's also a situation where when you have opportunities from these networks and you have a chance to be a number 1 color commentator, these are not jobs that come along very often. And when you sit back and evaluate your own situation, you've got to make a lifestyle choice. And the lifestyle choice that Tony Romo made is, with the injuries that he's endured, with everything that he's had to overcome, with the opportunities that were presented to him now, the best situation for him was to leave the game of football right now and to go into TV. Now, I'm sure there'll be people who say, well, what if there's a team that loses its starting quarterback in October and wants to make a move and figures that Tony Romo is the best quarterback out there? Look, I'm not going to say that he couldn't be tempted at some point in time, but the fact of the matter is he's going to be committing to a network. He's going to be committing to a high-profile job. That's an announcement that could come as early as today, is the way I understand it to be. And when you make a commitment like that, you decide to move on with your life. The decision to leave football has not been an easy one for him. But this is something that I think he believes that at this point in time is the best thing for him to do. It's the best move for him to make. And so the Cowboys will officially release him today. But I think that's secondary to the other news, which is that he's leaving football to go into broadcasting. And again, the Jones family has been informed of his decision. They are aware of the situation. They are aware that Tony's moving on from football into broadcasting. And that is the situation as we have it today, Jay.
Tony Romo leaving football, going into broadcasting. Our Adam Schefter reporting the news. Adam, thank you much. We appreciate it. Let's send it over to Randy and Jamie.
Jay, thanks so much. Here with Herm Edwards and Dan Graziano. First of all, your reaction to this news?
Well, it's probably not shocking when you think about what Adam just said, and it has to do with his health, obviously. And remember, Tony Romo in the last 2 seasons has really only played in 4 games. And so he's been injured a lot toward the end of his career. He leaves the Dallas Cowboys with the 3rd most wins in the history of that organization. He's done a lot of things in Dallas. It's kind of ironic, you know, you think guys want to continue to play, but I think that when he didn't play, I think he reflected on the season, he reflected on his life, and probably reflected going forward, where do I want to go? And he's decided to go in the booth. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was working on a story for ESPN.com the last couple of days, and the assignment was call people around the league and do an anonymous survey. Where do you think Romo will end up? Houston, Denver, whatever. I was shocked at the number of people who said to me, think he's going to leave and go into broadcasting.
Really?
Because I always thought that was kind of like a leverage play to try and get Dallas to release him or whatever. But what was said to me was that he was telling teammates that people close to him were saying this is a serious thing he's considering because He has serious concerns about what happens if he has another back injury. What effect does that have on the rest of his life, his family life, his ability to enjoy life with his children? And I think that started to set in and become a significant thing, as Adam mentioned in his report. And once that starts to set in and things go on, you start to think about life after football, and you start to think about all you have to do to get ready to prepare for another season of NFL football, what goes into it physically and mentally. You know, calling games on Sunday for CBS starts to sound like a pretty sweet gig.
I was with Tony before the season started this year at the Preakness, and we were riding the bus together going to the horse race, and he was actually excited about the team that he was about to play with, and then he gets hurt. So I think, you know, he's a guy that takes a lot of thought. He's not one of those emotional guys that makes emotional decisions. There was a lot of thought into this. And think about it. He had all year to think about it once he went down in injury. And as he reflects on his career, he's had a fabulous career. But I think we as fans, you know, we wanted Jerry to free Tony Romo. We thought we'd free Tony Romo, he's going to end up in Houston. That's a great landing spot. Tony Romo figured out what's best for him and his family. And good for Tony Romo. And
you talk about career. What a story. This is an undrafted player.
Yes, free agent.
That became one of the great players in the history of the Cowboys franchise. Will he be remembered that way? Probably not, because he didn't win the championship.
Right.
But Tony Romo was never supposed to turn out to be as good as he was, and I think he's had a remarkable career considering where he came from.
Good for you, Tony. Good for you.
And that was your reaction listening to Adam Schefter give that news. It was good for him. Good for him. You know,
good for him.
Good for him. Okay, so I say that, though, because he's 37, and we see guys like Tom Brady playing at 40, right? He's going to turn 40 this year. And when Romo was right, he was still so good.
Sure.
He was still so effective.
We watched him play in the one game this year, and he did pretty good.
Well, Eagles secondary can make a lot of people
I'm just saying, I mean, he was pretty good.
That's true. That's true. But if the money's out there, if the interest is there, I wonder if he's still playing. So, Dan, what was the interest level for a guy in Romo?
My understanding is that Houston was waiting on his release. The Houston Texans wanted Tony Romo to be their quarterback this year, or at least to come in and add to their quarterback mix in case they couldn't find it. Tom Savage didn't pop in training camp. So that was the significant interest. Denver had been talked about from the outside, but really Denver's position all along has been, look, if he's released, I guess we'll look at it. But we like the quarterbacks we have. Spent a first-round pick on Paxton Lynch last year. We like what Trevor Siemian did last year. So we're not really locked in on him. It was Houston all along that I think was the best fit for him from his standpoint and from the team's standpoint. And now they're obviously left with a big question mark. Do they go with Tom Savage? Do they make a call on I've been told Cutler wasn't an option. Jay Cutler wasn't an option for them. I've been told Colin Kaepernick wasn't an option for them. Do those things get reassessed now in the Houston Texans building? What would it mean to bring in a guy like that? How close are we, et cetera? So I think if they had been waiting for a Romo release and now they know he's off the table, the Texans probably have to reevaluate.
There's no doubt about that. I think if you're Houston, you probably were just waiting for Tony to get released so you could have a conversation feeling that he could be your guy. But I think, as Dan's made a great point, the two guys you just mentioned, Colin and obviously Jay Cutler, you have to revisit that, I think, if you're an organization.
You said you weren't surprised that he's going this route, but as a player, a competitive player at that, how hard is it to hang it up, not even like giving it a chance to see if you can go out there and play?
It's difficult, but I think if you're Tony and you look at what's happened to you the last couple seasons, you've been injured. And one of those injuries wasn't even hit very hard. And I think he knows his body better than anybody. And going through, as Dan mentioned, getting ready to play football, people don't realize that. There's this preparation period where at the end, when you get older, it's hard to prepare. It really is. It's easy to play the games. It's the preparation, the 5 and 6 months that go into before you even have to play the game. As you get a certain age and you've been injured a lot, it becomes daunting, and you say, you know what, I'm enough. I can talk about football. I'll do it a different way now.
And your kids get to be a certain age. He's put his kids out on Instagram and some of these videos. You want to be able to run around with them, crawl around with them, and you're dealing with a back injury, coming back from it. You wonder about your quality of life moving forward.
Third most wins in Cowboy history, trailing Aikman and Roger Staubach,
who both won Super Bowls.
Yes.
Something Tony Romo did not.
Well, it's hard to win one. Remember that.
That's very true.
It's hard to win one.
It's going to be interesting to see how he is remembered there in the Cowboys' history. Dan Graziano, Herm Edwards, we appreciate it. Let's throw it back over.